ending due to technical faults. Moving on, prominent opposition figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, and PDP elder statesman Bode George, have accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of deliberately undermining opposition parties ahead of future elections. In a joint statement released on Sunday and signed by ADC National Chairman David Mark, former APC National Chairman John Odige Oyegun, and Lawal Bata Gawara, the opposition called for an independent audit of federal, state, and local government accounts from 2015 to 2025. They alleged that state authority is being weaponized against political opponents rather than deployed to tackle economic crimes. The statement follows a wave of defections by governors, National Assembly members, and other influential political figures to the All Progressives Congress, including the recent defection of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara from the People's Democratic Party. In response, the presidency dismissed the allegations, accusing the opposition of scapegoating and seeking cheap political gains. In a statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the presidency described the claims as unfounded and insisted that the EFCC operates independently. Onanuga stated that investigations and prosecutions are determined by the courts and not by the presidency, adding that some opposition figures had been under investigation even before President Tinubu assumed office in 2023. He urged political actors to stop politicizing anti-corruption efforts, stressing that the fight against corruption is a collective national responsibility. The controversy highlights growing tension between the presidency and opposition parties over allegations of politicization of anti-corruption agencies. At the time of filing this report, the FCC had not issued an official response. Across the Christian faith, end-of-year Thanksgiving remains a sacred moment to reflect on God's faithfulness, appreciate His mercies, and commit the coming year into His hands. The spiritual significance came alive on Sunday at God's Historic Church, GRA, Benin City, during its annual harvest and Thanksgiving, as worshippers gathered to offer gratitude through joyful praise and giving. Donald Emie reports that a former governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Igbenedion, and several dignitaries graced the event.
Across Christendom, end-of-year Thanksgiving is viewed as a solemn yet joyful opportunity to acknowledge God's guidance, protection, and provision throughout the year. The belief was vividly expressed at God Historic Chapel, GRA Benin City, during the church annual harvest Thanksgiving service. The colorful ceremony was formally declared open by a former governor of Edo State, Chief Dr. Lucky Igbenedion, accompanied with several dignitaries who also offered thanks to God.
We must continue to thank Lord Jesus Christ. You have thanked Him up to this point. You will thank Him to the end of the year. You also thank Him next year from the beginning to the end.
The minister in charge of the church, Reverend Osamu Jame Afe, explained that the harvest Thanksgiving is not only a season of giving, but also a reminder of God's enduring grace and the importance of gratitude as a core principle of Christian living.
You are able to eat, you are able to enjoy, you are able to have a nice time. It's not by your power, it's by the power of God.
Some members and invited guests reflected on the year, drawing to a close, expressing renewed hope, faith, and trust in God for the year ahead.
It's a wonderful thing to be in this chapel, and this is one of the great works of our Father, Chief Gabriel Igbenedion, and I think it was a wonderful service.
This year's annual harvest and Thanksgiving of God Historic Chapel was themed Grace That Covers. Executive Director of Operations of ITV and Radio, Chief Eda Ogbedewonse, attended this year's annual harvest and Thanksgiving of God Historic Chapel with the theme Grace That Covers. From Benin, Donald Ehiminyang, ITV News.
Now, a former member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Mashood Bakari, has called on the federal government to investigate allegations that the Kwara State government supplied arms and ammunition to bandits operating in parts of the state. Bakari made the call on Sunday in Ilorin while addressing journalists, following claims by suspected bandits arrested by the military that they were sponsored by the state government. However, the chief press secretary to Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, Rafiu Ajakaye, dismissed the allegations as sheer disinformation. A 1-minute 36-second viral video circulating on social media shows soldiers interrogating suspected bandits allegedly found with AK-47 rifles in a local security patrol vehicle bearing the inscription of Ife Lodun local government area. Reacting to the claims, Bakari described the allegations as disturbing, noting that government has a constitutional responsibility to protect lives and property. He lamented the worsening security situation in Ife Lodun local government area, where repeated attacks have displaced communities and disrupted farming activities. The former lawmaker called for a transparent investigation and urged residents to remain vigilant and cooperate with security agencies. Responding, Ajakaye said the suspects were arrested in Auchi, Edo State, and not in Ife Lodun, Kwara State, adding that the local government had already clarified issues surrounding the patrol vehicle. Also reacting, the chairman of Ife Lodun local government area, Haji Femi Yusuf, confirmed that the security vehicle had earlier been provided as logistical support to vigilante operatives and was later recovered in Auchi by the Nigerian army. He commended the military and security agencies for their swift intervention and ongoing efforts to restore peace in the area. Moving on, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is set to establish a joint counter-terrorism force as part of renewed efforts to confront the growing threat of violent extremism across the sub-region. As State House correspondent in Karata reports, the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government and President of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, disclosed this Sunday while addressing the 68th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government held at the Banquet Hall of the State House, Abuja.
The 68th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government was presided over by the President of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio. Nigeria as host nation was represented at the summit by Vice President Kashim Shettima, who stood in for President Bola Tinubu. Speaking, President Bio expressed deep concern over the activities of multiple terror groups operating across West Africa, warning that they continue to exploit the fragility of the region's border to carry out cross-border attacks and destabilize member states. According to him, the proposed joint security force is aimed at strengthening collective defense mechanisms and enhancing coordinated responses among ECOWAS countries in the fight against terrorism.
On behalf of this authority, I strongly condemn the unconstitutional change of government in Guinea-Bissau and the attempt to subvert the constitutional order in Benin. I commend the rapid mobilization of ECOWAS troops and air assets, with Nigeria taking the lead to safeguard constitutional order in Benin.
Speaking earlier, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Aliu Toure, condemned coup in the sub-region while commending the effort of Nigeria in crushing the Benin Republic coup d'etat.
The regional response has been measured but firm, and the swift action of our heads of state shows their commitment to democratic values and stability in the region. Then came the unfortunate attempted coup in the Republic of Benin, which met with a swift and resolute action of ECOWAS led by the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Nigeria has remained at the forefront of regional diplomatic and stabilization efforts, playing a key role in ECOWAS' collective response to political crisis through dialogue, security cooperation, and respect for the rule of law. From the Old Banquet Hall, Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja, I'm Ikaro Atta, ITV News.
Moving on, the Ebonyi Governor, Francis Nwifuru, has announced a Christmas bonus of 150,000 naira to every civil servant in the state for the 2025 festive season. Nwifuru made the pronouncement on Sunday during a church service at the Government House Chapel in Abakaliki. According to him, the gesture aligns with his administration's commitment to improve the welfare of civil servants despite dwindling revenue accruing to the state in the past year. The governor also dispelled rumors of lethargy in Vincent Ago Wanko flyover, popularly known as Vanco, a monumental infrastructural marvel of his administration. And now on sports. Atlanta winger Ademola Lookman, defenders Semi Ajayi and Bright Osai Samuel have arrived at the Super Eagles Hotel base in Cairo ahead of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Among the new arrivals in camp are goalkeeper Amas Obasioge, Tochukwu Nnadi, and Igor Ogun. They joined Francis Uzoho, Stanley Nwabali, Ebenezer Akim, and Fisayo Dele Bashiru in camp. More players are expected in the team's camp later today. The Super Eagles opened camp for AFCON 2025 in Cairo on Sunday. The three-time African champions will hold their first training session tonight. Eric Shell's side will face the Pharaohs of Egypt in a friendly at the Cairo International Stadium on Tuesday. And that's the end of ITV News at 12 p.m. I am Chukwu from Nanya Digwe. Many thanks for staying tuned in. Good afternoon.